Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 10 of my advanced tutorial series for Dwarf Fortress. In this Let's Play series, I'm building a neat and tidy fort for you and explain everything in between. So for today, the big topic will be hanging around here, because we got pretty much everything we require to break open the caverns, and well, that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to secure this area, and there's going to be a lot of caverns talk in today's episode. And as usual, since this is a Let's Play series, there will be a lot of dits and dats in between, according to the everyday business of this fortress. So when we check out the work orders, there's still a lot of bronze gear that needs to be forged. So I gave those guys here some jobs to do some charcoaling. I also have brought up some new stockpile zones for different stone. One for chert, one for, what was it called again? Yeah, siltstone, and one for bauxite. So we got some stockpile zones that are carrying that stuff, and I configured a couple of wheelbarrows onto these, so people that do the hauling don't have to go for extremely long venues. Now then, so that was one thing I did, and the other thing we're doing is we're still waiting for these statues to get finished, but since there is one guild hall that we have to staff out, we're going to go the engraving way, you know. So I'm adding the pressure of engravings into this room. I try to keep it low because I don't like the dwarf faces everywhere, but it is a foolproof way to increase the value of your premises. I also added in some flooring here in between, but there is not that much that has happened in between. So let's get back to this part here. So a person came for the purpose of soldiering. Arab trumpet mentioned. So let's check that person out. I was just trying to get my military squad together. I'm not interested in Mark's dwarves. I'm sorry. Alright, so when we check out these fellas here, they're not really geared up well. So we're going to get into that menu and just press confirm. Yeah, that somehow brings them to the decision that they're going to check if there's new stuff for them. Weirdly enough, they almost never ever update their gear if you don't do that. And as you see here, there's a lot of green stuff now popping up. That's good. So to get them to equip their boots, you need to tell them to replace the uniform with clothing, because the civilian shoes block the wearing of high boots. Yeah, it's just like that. And what do we have here? A question for entertaining? No, I'm sorry, we're not taking any. So I'm just waiting now for my dudes to be geared up. I'm going to pick up a fifth person into the squad because I feel like they're we are currently in the position that we can do, and therefore let's do this. And with that being all set up, we can now begin breaching the caverns. I personally insist on having a military squad here around the corner, even if I have all those traps here, because, you know, well, when it comes down to Dwarf Fortress, I'm personally always double checking things because I really like it that way. Alright, new migrants have arrived, and believe it or not, I have learned. So when new migrants are arriving, we're going to wait until they have hit town, and then we're going to assign their new animals to the pasture. I hope you guys are proud of me by now, because this is something that I personally have learned by the time of this series. I was really, or I am still quite bad at taking care of the new animals. So whenever new migrants hit town, you see, there's two animals that I have saved here that would have died a horrible death by starvation once more. Okay, so yeah, for whatever reason, it does take a while until the mining job has been assigned. So Zazir steel stings. So let's check that out. A lot of people are petitioning today for joining us, but that's yeah, that axe dwarf. We're going to take him up. So I mean, there's really no reason not to. I don't know. I have here, so we can put that guy here right into the squad. I'm quite happy to have somebody who's just going for, yeah, sign me up, man. Like that. So he's currently completely ungeared, which is not that good, but our smithies are working on that. So we have opened up that corridor here, and the first thing that I want to do is I want to plot down a door. Step 2, we're going to step forward and seal off all those little things here, you know? We're going to put a lid on all these ramps, because that's going to give me the ability to control the area properly. I don't want anything to be able to crawl up from here. And that's why I want to have military around the corner. My people, my workers, have a pretty high likelihood of getting attacked by while we're doing that. If there's anything hostile hanging around here, we're going to need that. Oh, this ramp here has no access. You can travel diagonally, but ironically enough, you can't build diagonally. I don't know why, but it is just like that. So we're going to fill up all these blank spots now with flooring. So I get to seal off that. There we go. We're almost done. Okay, so when that's all done, we're going to set up some walls. Oh, we have a new moody dwarf here in town, and then we're going to set up the outside walls. Whoopsie. So here's already something, a giant cave swallow. You know, cave swallows are actually quite harmless, but if they are giant cave swallows, well, I'm going to put the military on them. Or, well, actually, the swallow was smart enough to head away before it became part of the diet of the local fortress. Smart swallow. So we're now first off sealing off the perimeter hard, because, you know, I personally am a big fan of putting up some control first, and then we're going to take care of the rest, you know. Okay, so as you see here, bit by bit, the area is being secured, and I do monitor this really closely. So let's check out what that is all about. So this looking good. I'm going to wait for a further moment and see if the construction will begin. I'll get a new anvil symbol. That's why I clicked it away. And if there's no new anvil symbol after a while, I'm going to look after this fella. I hope. I really hope that I won't forget there. So here we have a little bit of an extra issue. Here it goes downstairs, so the floor trick alone won't suffice. Here we need to do a little bit more than that. So here we go. We've struck green diamond. Well, we not really struck it, we just discovered it. This is a these are special pockets, but we're going to discover and explore these along the lines. All right. So currently, it looks as if our first exploration of that area here is very peaceful. The caverns are not per se super dangerous or anything. Don't only because I'm playing very carefully here. Let's set up a door here so we have some entrances. While I'm playing super carefully here, I am, well, most of the time I'm over exaggerating with the risk value, but the thing is, with Dwarf Fortress, things can go so darn fast. Foobar, you know, things go super well all the time until suddenly they don't anymore, and that's the problem, you know. That's just the problem. Alrighty, but this looking good so far. We're finding more and more things. And now I'm getting a little bit, yeah, here we go. Just like I thought, this guy is not doing his job because He should have been busy already, but I can't already see what's the matter here. So he mutters stuff. He's talking about leather. He's talking about metal bars. All's there already, but bones, yeah. Bones are a typical thing that I often have to produce for my moody dwarves. So all we need to do is we need to butcher one of those stray yak cows, and most likely everything else will resolve. So let's recheck in a minute. Those moody dwarves, the biggest challenge about them is not to forget about them while you're doing other things. This is actually the gameplay challenge behind it, in my humble opinion. Alrighty, so let's see. This guy now has some gear to put on. Our forges were busy. So walls are getting set up, and at the end of the day, we'll only have 2 areas where this perimeter can't be accessed anymore, and that's exactly where I want it to be. So let's see. We could put up a wall in here, but I'm not interested. We're just going to seal off at that corner. So the thing is, doors, even if you forbid them like that, they aren't as safe as a wall. There are, as far as I know, a few threats that can pass forbidden doors, but not too many. Ironically enough, a while ago, I don't know if it's still that way, even entities that were supposed to be able to destroy doors were not destroying doors. And one of all hunters is trying to be really dumb here. What? Oh! Hello there! I was just thinking, you have a weird skin color. Oh boy, we got a first necromancer. So, necromancers sometimes just are part of your fortress, you know? It ain't that much of a big deal, but if you have a necromancer in your fortress, so... The thing is, we need to dig a little bit deeper here before we can continue. I'll put the most important thing up front. Try to keep these fellas away from your refuse stockpiles under any circumstances, because, you know, they tend to resurrect things when they feel threatened. But beyond that, usually your necromancers aren't that much of a big deal. But, you know, they are, as a matter of fact, more dangerous for your people than for the enemy if you just leave them unchecked. So we really got to be careful with that, fine lady. So the most common approach to that issue... Wow, he's still not done yet, eh? Right, I'm not sure. He needs either more bone or more leather. Well, let's see. Do we have more leather? Step 1. Tanned hides. So yeah, there's more than enough available. So he's needing more bones. Let's provide. So, well, yeah. Where was I? Another method of taking care of your necromancers is a lot of people are just locking them away somewhere, because this way you can make sure that they'll never be creating any problems anywhere. And for the time being, we're going to resolve that necromancer occurrence like that, because I am a little bit scared about that, not gonna lie. So to do this, we're going to do a very, very simple thing. We're going to take out one room here, and we're going to be fair, you know. We're going to connect that. Just have the idea. I also accepted in between a monster hunter. I missed out the opportunity to note that out. So monster hunters will just go into the caverns and do their thing, you know. They're just going out there and slaughtering stuff as long as there's access to the caverns. Oh, look at that. We locked out somebody. There we go. Good thing that I checked. Alright, but that was a very, very good sign. That meant that this guy had no option to enter the fortress from the ledge that he was sitting on. That means our plans are working out just as intended. Good, good. So here he's wheezing around, so that means I was right. He just needed more bone. Okay, so let's head back to the city for a moment. That was this button. And, oh yeah, nothing got done here because I have assigned too many engraving projects. Well, I'm not too surprised in all honesty. So this statue here never reached a higher value. I'm not too surprised about that, simply because of the reason that we are we weren't producing a statue with a very high quality rating. So we're going to put up yet another silver statue because I really want to have this guild hall at some point done. You know, it is important to do so. So for that end, we're going to make this the most important task for today. There's a lot of good stuff showing up. You might have already noticed that we're finding a lot of valuable gemstone here. This is because in the caverns you typically hit a lot of interesting little nodes that we're going to take a look upon in a hot minute. For now, I want to enlarge this room a little bit so we can put up some more use to that. And I'm going to floor this place because this is where our local necromancer will live at, and you know, she deserves a fine place after all. Okay, so here we go. This is now going to be carved out, and these areas you can use them for various purposes. You know, there's floor fungus down here. That means we could use it as a pasture. We also could use it as farm plots, as you see here. It's also eligible. Just those cavern floors, they're not eligible. So, a rock salt earring. All those materials just for one earring. To be fair, it's worth 11,000 bucks, so good job, I guess. But yeah, earrings are among the more useless items that you could get yourself out of an artifact. So let's put up one statue here. Striking emeralds, that's good, that's good. And our little military force here, look at them go. They're looking fancy, aren't they? Bronze gear looks pretty fancy, I gotta admit. For all the stuff that you can go for, this looks so much nicer than gold, doesn't it? Than iron, doesn't it? Personally, really like the look of bronze. Okay, so we gotta put up a bed in here because I'm no monster. And then or necromancer will live in there. So an elk bird is fighting. How come? And with whom? Alright, so a hunter here is going totally ham on the elk bird. So elk birds, for your information, are actually quite harmless beings. They are walking birds, flightless birds. So, yeah, they can be really dangerous for civilians, don't get me wrong. A lot of things out and down in the caverns can get dangerous for civilians. But, yeah, it's just not that much of a big deal. Look at him go! He's eating! So that's what I've been talking about. This little stockpile zone here is making sure that our military dudes, they're not going to strive too far away. So I'm taking now all the monster hunters that I can get because, you know, they are so darned useful here for just scouting the caverns for us. Okay, bedroom created, and this bedroom is now going to be assigned to the lady necromancer because, you know, it is just the easiest way to take care of them. I also want to point out that necromancers are actually no longer mortal. They wait a sec, you were, why was the second person there? They won't die of old age anymore, so looks as if there's two people now in there. Well, anywho, we're going to use the burrow function here now to make sure that Lady Necromancer will never be leaving town here anymore. So we're going to assign her now to that burrow, and then we're going to get her out there never ever again. this is the easiest way I know of to make sure that your necromancers are not rummaging around. The only thing that really, really sucks is you have to find the person in question. There's no search function yet. Well, alrighty. Let's see. Ultimately, the necromancer must show up. Here, dwarf necromancer. So, and yeah. Also, don't forget to forbid this one. Otherwise, the necromancer in question is able to go to outside workshops. And yeah, the only thing we need to do then, if we want to be super paranoid, is just to lock off those doors, and then the necromancer is unable to escape. But actually, the precautions that I took here should be already enough. We'll check out. I mean, it's gonna be quite simple. If there's no purple colored weirdo sitting here, there's something wrong with our setup. Easy. So, and now we see the full extent of the caverns. Isn't it majestic what we got there? I mean, this is just caverns layer 1, and there's a lot of stuff that we can work with. But most importantly, there's magma here. And that's pretty much one of the most valuable assets that dwarven kind can have. We put up a little bit of a fortress here, and I'm quite happy with that. You could also replace the walls that I got here with fortifications. That would work as well as an alternative. If you like Mark's dwarves, that is. You know, if you like shooting, it's a pretty good option. Okay, so we got that area secured, and now the real cool part is we can now procure all that timber there. So we're going to continue making charcoal now in a completely new dimension, because, you know, we're now capable of producing that stuff in sick amounts, you know. We have now access to all those underground trees, and therefore let's get us working here. So let's make some new and fresh bronze bars. We ran out of these. I really like the quadra smelter setup here. So let's make that all together 8 times. And we also got some lignite that we can process. Wonderful. Let's do that until there's no more to be processed. And I want to smelt some more pure tetrahedrite, but not that much. Alrighty. So as you see here, I'm not yet automating too much on my smelters. We will, ultimately, we will. But as long as the situation is as it is, fuel-wise and all, I personally love to have a little bit of a control on these things. But you can automate that via work orders as you see fit. It's your decision. So, first of all, you can use this, of course, as a huge, majestic foraging area. All the stuff that your dwarven people like can be foraged down here, you know? There's sweet pots, there's dimple cups, there's plump helmets, there's everything you are already farming is here lying around for forage. This isn't so far amazing as you can always restock your seed bank, and you can always fall back on these materials if there's ever a shortage of sorts in your fortress. And now we're going out there and we're chopping all those trees. That's the first thing that I want to do, because we got ourselves a huge charcoal industry running, and therefore it is quite a good thing to get some wood going. So it's really cool when you got some military around the corner in situations like these, because, you know, your woodcutters, they can and will get ambushed eventually. Don't worry too much about your woodcutters and the like, though. In the first place, many things are quite easily dying to the battle axes that your woodcutters are actually running around, you know. They are always wielding frickin' battle axes. Woodcutters are actually quite heavily armed. They're just not heavily armored. So, in a nutshell, your woodcutters, if they are legendary, they can do a lot of damage. And look at that. All that timber. So, what I'm trying to say still is you better keep your woodcutters safe though with some military around the corner. Also your haulers that are going crazy now with all these things. It's a good thing to have a strike force around the corner. Also, what I want to mention is your enemies will enter and leave the map underground-wise on points like these. It is just like the surface world. Enemies are entering and leaving the map at the map's borders, and you got to imagine the caverns as kind of a it's the same as up here, just underground. It's a worldwide network of caverns below the ground. All the world down there is connected down there. There can be even sometimes roads down there. In a nutshell, always look for these borders. This is where the enemies will migrate on and off the map. That means forgotten beasts might be wandering into our map from here, and I also failed to mention that we have successfully passed the 83 population checkmark. That means we can get sieged by now and attacked by forgotten beasts, or no, semi-forgotten beasts if I remember correctly. Stuff like Cyclops and the like. We're gonna get there. But that means, for me, one major thing, we are going to go for yet another barracks, because, you know, it really, 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 really is one of my favorite strategies to have one barracks near the caverns, one barracks near the surface. This way, I have a strike team available wherever a bigger threat will arise. And it's really good to have armed forces really close by when somewhere something happens. This is one thing that I really learned the hard way in this game. Distances are a bad thing, and the less distance between the threat and the solution, the better. So as you see here, I'm even carving out the walls. I'm not doing this on a whim. I'm doing this because we are building a barracks in the upper layers, where we don't even have stone walls. So basically, I'm doing this to increase the value of the barracks in total, to make the soldiers less unhappy about spending half their life down here, you know? Or up here, I should rather say. Apart from that, I'm not going to set up a entire little base camp up here, because I personally think the kitchen and the city core is so close by that we don't need to put up a refreshing stockpile like that here, but you get the idea. So my necromancer lady is not going to behaving as she should. So let's see. I do have one thought in mind how it comes to that. So I actually should look more just after the sprite, because she's quite purple, isn't she? So there's one more thing that you can do. You can also forbid them to go for their for other jobs. So I really don't understand though why she's sitting there. She shouldn't be sitting there. Alright, so let's pause that burrow for a moment and reactivate it. Probably that's gonna help. Burrows have always been a little bit bugged since a long time, I heard. So the easiest way is to burrow somebody in there, and once they have taken that command, you can't just lock off the doors, and that's a simple way of resolving the issue. Let's see what my necromancer lady does in between. Anyways, we got ourselves a nice base camp here, and we're going to get ourselves closer to the, well, to the or the usage of this wonderful resource here. Until then, I have plans on my mind. So I want to dig out one extra tunnel into that direction, because I figured, you know, if we have a wonderful magma pool like that, I want to use this as a punishment method, you know? All those criminals are going to get put down into the pit, That's at least the plan. This way, I can show you in the series how to put up a pit zone, and we get to dispose of the enemies of this place in style. So let's see. Still not the guild hall that we require? Gosh, our engravers suck. Thing about engraving is that it really depends on the quality of the engraving, how valuable the engraving will be. Therefore, if your engravings tend to have not that much firepower, it might be because the experience of your engravers is not that high. But that just on a side note. Alrighty, so where the hell did my statue go? So it never has been made. Sometimes things like these happen when there's no fuel, when there's no material to work with. Well, there are usually a couple of reasons why your work order could have been ignored. We're going to create ourselves some more silver and make sure that another statue will be made for the guild hall. Technically, the world won't end if you fail to provide the guild hall the value. The members of the guild hall will just share a sad thought when it doesn't work on out in time of over a year. But that's pretty much it. So, Damstone located. I don't care. It is, yeah, it's gonna work. Beautiful, but not for today's episode. I just wanted to have that prepared for the next one. So, my good friends, I thank you so much for watching. We are getting somewhere, I'd say, and I really, really hope you're enjoying yourself as much as I do. The caverns that we got now are completely secure, as long as we don't have any outside intruders, and we can now procure all the timber we require from underneath. It's a good start. We're going to continue with that topic over the course of the next episodes, of course, because so far we were only securing the ground in this episode. Next time we're going to delve deeper into the treasures beyond just securing some timber. So leave me your comments down below. I love to hear from you folks. A thumbs up helps a lot to make this series more visible to everybody else. And of course, if you want to subscribe and support the channel, this is a dirty cheap way to do so. And hit that bell thing if you want to stay notified with all the new stuff that I publish every day. Playlist links down there in the description box. Go to a beginner series, some shorter tutorials of mine at the beginning of this series, and that's all I got to say for today. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you next time as well. Bye bye.